This is the Hollywood Outsider, a weekly movie and TV podcast with a new episode every Thursday, and this week we are looking at upcoming releases After Earth and Now You See Me. We're going to have a spoiler-free review of Star Trek Into Darkness with a spoiler cast at the end of the show. And don't worry, there won't be any spoilers until the very, very, very end of the show. Our From the Outside In topic this week, what are our favorite war movies and why? The latest in movie and TV news as always, including our own trivia segments. My name is Aaron Peterson. With me today are my fellow hosts, Justin McCumber.
Beam me up, Scotty.
God,
I'm working on it. I need more power.
Yeah.
Need more power, Captain.
I'm giving her all she's got, Captain.
That would be Scott Clark.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Welcome back. And Brian Williams.
I'm not doing any stupid Star Trek jokes.
See, I thought Brian was going to go, nanu.
I have to say, Brian, I got to give you a lot of crap because you may have ruined, not completely ruined, but the first Star Trek reboot for me. I watched it recently before watching the new one, and I think the whole thing has been shattered for me with the lens flares because I notice them every time now.
Yeah, ever since he mentioned that, I rewatched it too, and I'm like, wow, Brian isn't wrong. There's a lot of fucking lens flares.
Like a forklift truck turned around and lens flare came off of it.
And if you go back, if you watch the Transformers movies, they do the same thing, but they actually do it a lot better. It's maybe a hair over the top, but it's not as bad. Star Trek movies are just ridiculous.
Hey, the future is fucking shiny. Get over it.
The best part was my wife and I were watching it, and she turns to me and goes, his forehead is really shiny. there was nothing there.
Seriously, like the final shot when he's finally in the yellow uniform for the first time, it's the whole screen is covered, and like you want to see that.
It kind of ruined it for me to a certain extent too because I just kept noticing it. But I remember a couple of scenes where there's like a giant, it's just a close up. All you see is a head, and there's like purple lens flares right in front of them. I'm going, do we really need it right now?
Well, we'll get to more Star Trek later. We don't want to make people
we got
leave
more
already.
stuff to talk about. All right.
Yeah, Justin, you're going to Balticon, right?
Yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow for a 2-day drive.
Are you? So when you're listening to this, he's either already there or done. And,
Probably.
And what are you going to do there?
Hopefully meet droves and droves of fans and make millions of dollars.
And never have to come back.
Right, never have to come back here again. I'll just be making it rain somewhere in the Mediterranean.
And that's the last time we ever heard from Justin McCumber.
That's right. More likely I'll just meet some people I know and maybe sign a book or two and maybe get a drink bought for me. We'll see. I'm a pretty cheap date.
Is there any particular thing you want to tell people that might listen to it before they go, real quick?
No. I don't even have my schedule yet.
Oh.
So I don't know what panels I'm going to be on yet.
Just look for the guy begging for drinks. That'll be Justin
That's right.
McCumber.
Am I correct in assuming that's in Baltimore?
Wow. Not much gets past Scotty.
I've never heard of it
teacher.
before. So
He's officially a teacher now.
You should have been a goalie.
You nailed it.
Nothing gets past him.
I've never heard of it. Is it just for writers or is it for...
It's mostly for literature and podcasting.
Okay, cool.
You think we would have went? I'm just saying we should have went. Also, there's an episode of There's an episode.
Whole After Hours?
Yeah.
I don't know whose hole he's talking about.
That's a different podcast.
Hose After Hours. We have another one coming out with Justin's co-host on Dead Robot Society, Paul Cooley, who's also a horror author. It's going to be out Memorial Day, and there's lots of horror talk. We talk about Google Glasses, horror.
Did you say horror? He's a horror author.
We're all whores.
You kind of have to be if you're not. If you're doing
part
something.
of the trade, huh?
I'll blow you if you buy a book. I'm so shameful.
All right.
Though.
And
I'll do anything for a good review.
That's right.
Also, real quick, just not really important news, but they are working on Red 3 already, even though Red 2's not out yet. And Del Toro, he's already got the green light to pen a Pacific Rim sequel. So they're expecting Pacific Rim to be...
That thing is going to rock.
That's good news, isn't it?
Yeah, that's great news. That's pretty confident. Let's go into movie news so we can hurry up and get to Star Trek so we can cut Justin off a lot. Sly Stallone, he's tweeted that he has now talked to Mr. Steven Seagal, because I hear he's available, about a role in Expendables 3, and he's in it for the right part. I'm not sure if that involves donuts or what.
Hunting wolves or what? Who, at this point, does anybody really care about Steven Seagal? I mean, other than as a punchline?
No. Have you seen his show on Netflix? I mean, it's highly True Justice.
I've seen like clips, and that's all I needed to see.
Bad.
Last time
Is that the New Orleans sheriff or whatever?
Yeah, he's just like
I've seen a couple of those episodes. It's bad.
Last thing I ever saw him on was that little small bit he did in Machete, Machete, however you say it, at the very end. I thought he was pretty cool in that role. But that's like a very tongue-in-cheek movie.
Well, if he can bring more of that to the movie, then all to the good. But it's just a shame because back in the day, for a brief window of time, he was actually a really cool action star, and then I think his ponytail kind of went off and did its own thing, leaving him to just wander around into obscurity. So, no, last movie when they said Van Damme was going to be in it, I was so much more excited than hearing about Seagal in this one.
Well, who would make you excited for it? Besides,
as far as action stars go, I don't know, because they've pretty much had everybody. I mean, they even said Wesley Snipes is going to be in this one, and to me, that's much more exciting.
Yeah, and there's not a whole lot left. I mean, this actually may be the end one way or the other, whether they just run out of people or this might be their jump the shark moment. So
Steven Seagal is just not good anymore. I mean, Above the Law is probably one of my all-time favorite action movies. I mean, it's in the top 5 for sure, just because I just loved the action and how it's very realistic and it's very street, so to speak, and the martial arts that he uses is true to life. It's not, Hollywood martial arts. But man, I don't know what happened in like the last 15 years. He just ate a lot. And the only practice he did was getting that sandwich to his mouth.
Do you guys remember Jeff Speakman?
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah,
I like Jeff Speakman.
He was actually good, but he only had the one film that really made
like The Perfect Weapon.
Yeah, Perfect Weapon, and that was it. And I remember the opening to that because it had him in his a motel room or something, going through a series of moves to Snap's "You Got the Power."
Yeah, because that's what people did back in the 80s, man. That's what they did.
Maybe that's going to be in Expendables 4.
The video version. Because trust me, Speakman's still on video somewhere. There was some concern, apparently, that it wasn't going to get made. But Western Bone Tomahawk finally nailed down financing, and now the return of the great, one of my favorite actors of all time, Kurt Russell, is going to be paired with Timothy Olyphant, another great actor, Jennifer Carpenter, and Peter Skarsgård, and it's going to start filming in August thanks to Magnolia Pictures. I'm going to send them a thank you card myself. Am I the only one dying for another Russell Western?
Well,
if you shit on me, I will piss in your mouth. I swear to God.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, trigger.
There we go. This is where opinions don't matter, Brian. You remember that from last week.
This isn't exactly your typical Western, though. This is more like, what was the Cowboys and Aliens, but instead of aliens, it's like these cannibalistic troglodytes.
Chuds.
Yeah.
West Chuds.
And a bunch of heavily armed inbreds who live in a cave that apparently Kurt Russell and Timothy Olyphant have to go through to rescue some kidnapped town folk. So
it's close enough.
It's, yeah, okay. It takes place in the West, but it sounds fun as shit.
It's got Kurt Russell, which basically, if you just had him standing there saying, hey, I'd go pay for that. I'd pay $10 for that. Timothy Olyphant, who's great on Justified. Jennifer Carpenter's great. Peter Skarsgård's a great character actor. I mean...
Didn't you start watching Deadwood, too?
I did start watching it, yeah. It's a good show.
Yeah.
I haven't really...
Timothy Olyphant's fantastic in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Timothy Olyphant is fantastic in everything. Girl Next Door. Mix that character with Justified, you'd have the perfect character. I can't wait.
Just skin that smoke wagon and let's see what happens.
Oh, I'm so excited. I just can't hide it. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize for my squeak.
You calmed down now? You okay?
What if it had Dennis Quaid in it?
Dude, why would you?
Whoa, Scotty, step away. I think he just got.
I think the table just came off the ground a little bit.
Can we pause it so you can go take a cold shower?
When they made the Wyatt Earp movies, it's almost like they were fucking with me because Dennis Quaid was what's his name? Val Kilmer's character, Doc Holliday, in the Kevin Costner Wyatt Earp. And then they had that Kurt Russell in the other Tombstone movie with the wrong fucking one. It's like, come on, put the movies together. I got a perfect dream. Anyway.
Recasting the classics.
I will recast him with those guys. What's that? What about Holiday?
I said Val Kilmer was a great Doc Holliday.
He was, but he's still not Dennis Quaid. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
I'm your Huckleberry.
Oh, Assassin's Creed. Scott, calm down yourself, is officially dated for May 22nd, 2015, Memorial Day weekend. We've talked about video game movies going mainstream before, many times actually, and it doesn't get much more mainstream than Memorial Day weekend. So does that make you really nervous or really excited?
Makes me really excited. I mean, we've talked about the possibility of this movie for quite a while now, and I won't go into too much length, but maybe this would be the one that people that aren't in love with the game are going to take seriously for once. I mean, you guys talked on the After Hours show about like how comic book movies now are like a normal thing, and it took a long time to get that there. And like Justin and I have said before, there are a lot of good stories based on in video games, and to see them on the screen with real live actors would be a dream. Much like a lot of your guys' dreams was to see comic book characters on screen, and that's now a normal thing.
That's fair enough.
And the fact that it's on Memorial Day, obviously, as you know, Memorial Day weekend is a huge
One of the
weekend.
biggest weekends of every year. Yeah.
It's like, and so I think that's good news. Maybe a lot more people will see it that might not have. You know, I obviously don't know what else is going to happen that weekend.
It's a good family property too. I mean, if you're gonna, I could see it being like, let's take the family and see.
History lesson.
They're gonna make it PG-13. It's not gonna be real violent, even though it's called Assassin.
I was saying a family film called Assassin's Creed.
You know it's gonna be PG-13. There's no way.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll never show a knife going into some guy's throat. They won't.
Oh, that'd be too bad though. They really should do an R. That would be kind of awesome.
It probably would be, but it wouldn't make any money. And they're going global with this.
Yeah.
And Michael Fassbender was cast. We've talked about that a while back. That's great news. I'm really. The only thing that worries me is Prince of Persia got Memorial Day weekend too when it came out, a few years ago, and that one did not do so well.
But that movie wasn't that good either.
I thought it was great until the last 15 minutes. Then they kind of sissied out.
Yeah, I think I'm in the minority. I don't think it. A lot of people say they really liked it. I didn't care for it.
And I was never big. I don't know. Prince of Persia didn't have, to me at least, the most interesting story. That to me, as far as
Brian. Oh my God! I'm fucking idiot. For all those that don't know why everybody's laughing, Brian sent me a link and I thought it was something to do with this story, and then I just learned it was a fucking YouTube clip of Jeff Speakman.
Wow.
you guys know, if I had done that, I would not be asked back next week.
Oh my God!
He would still be kicking your ass.
That might still make the show. You never know.
Right.
Oh my God! I just stop
You
the
think I should
insanity.
shit myself?
Can I go back to my point?
Yeah.
or-
I'm sorry, Scott. What was
That's
your point?
okay.
What was your point?
Like I was saying, the story in Prince of Persia has never been super interesting to me. To me, that was more about game mechanics and that kind of thing. But the story, in this, to me, it was one of the more interesting things about the Assassin's Creed series. About the history aspect of it and going to different time periods.
Yeah, but I don't know how if they're gonna keep the sci-fi elements of it or not. That's really not announced yet. That's the one thing I'm curious because
Kind of have to.
I don't know if it'll play in a film.
Do you think they'll just do the period piece aspect of it, not even?
I think that would work better for me, but I also am not a fan of the sci-fi elements of it. So I'm probably the wrong guy to ask, I guess.
Well,
Yeah, I like that.
I did
That's what
too.
hooks me.
And as crappy as those portions of the game are, to me that was interesting to see where that whole current time period thing was going. I mean, I know the gameplay portion wasn't any fun, but I always wanted to see what was going to happen next. And you got to have some kind of stage to get. Why are we in?
I don't. As far as I'm concerned, just set it in the past and just go from there. I think that works fantastic.
Well, but if it does well and they make sequels, you're going to have some reason to why are we going?
Just have Michael Fassbender be the same guy in the same time and just new stories. I would be fine with that, and then do spin-offs for the different time.
That would never work.
I don't think. It would
Why
work
do you
either.
think it wouldn't work, Justin?
Because you have at the end of Assassin's Creed, if they're going to make the reveal that they need to make, that's sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what is he going to do when he gets to the end of the movie? There has to be that reveal about the whole assassins and the Templars and from the future and what. And it's sci-fi in its heart. You can't avoid that.
All right. Well, we'll see, because it's coming in 2 years. So the script will eventually leak, and we'll see all the details.
Good.
Surprise news of the week. I never saw this coming, and I follow this shit a lot. There's going to be a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon 2. And
Yeah.
guess who's going to be part of it? Please tell us.
Well, when I saw this news come up, I was, excited because I'm a big fan of the original Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. As a kid, I watched a lot of chop soppy kind of films, the funny ones that had the really overdone dubs, and they were a lot of fun. But this one took it serious, and for me, it was my real first brush with serious martial arts films, and I'm sure there were plenty before it, but it was the first I saw, and I really, really loved it. I never thought they would make a second one, but apparently they are. Michelle Yeoh is going to be back in it reprising her original role. But what really got me excited was the fact that they're bringing Donnie Yen in to co-star with her. And to me, Donnie Yen is probably the best martial artist working in film today. The guy is incredibly athletic. He's the best fighter I've seen on screen in a long time. The fact that he's involved makes me incredibly excited.
I think it's a great idea for a sequel. This could go a lot of different ways. I look forward to hearing more about it.
Well, I'm interested. I think it's interesting that you guys are so excited about this because when we talk about sequels in the past, you guys say that it's been too long. That was quite a while ago, was it not?
I'm not as excited about it as Justin is. I'm just interested to see what direction they end up going.
Okay.
He's pumped. Ask him. He's the one that...
Okay, well, that's fine. And I'm not knocking you for being excited about it, but we talk about movies that are... What year was the original Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon?
Oh, gosh. 2001 or 2?
I was going to say 1, yeah, but that's over 10 years old. And we talk about... And granted, it's not like a comedy or something like an Anchorman sequel or a Dodgeball sequel, but still, that's over 10, pushing 14 years old.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. This isn't picking up exactly where the last one left off. It's based on another book in this series of novels that the stories are coming from. So the fact that it's just not trying to pick up, the next day, those sorts of sequels, I don't mind as much because you're factoring in the aging of the characters and so on. But no, I'm really excited. What also really makes me as excited is that it's being directed by Yen Wu-ping, who was the fight choreographer for the first film. He also did the fight choreography for Iron Monkey, the Matrix films. God, so many martial arts films. If you look, he's the guy who choreographs the fights. Well, he's directing this one. So that's yet another reason. Hell, even the Kill Bill movies, he did the choreography for. So
that's cool.
There's so many reasons to be excited for this. If you like martial arts films, this one looks to be fantastic.
There's a rumor going around the internet that Christopher Nolan has been approached to do James Bond. I just want to... people asked why we didn't include it last week. Because it's just a rumor. That's why. It's one of those things that they said right before Skyfall, before Sam Mendes signed up for that. So, internet's settle down.
Didn't we used to have a rumor segment?
Yeah, we did. But almost every time, one of them, they always turned out to be not true. So, it just got to where we were basically lying to people.
Well, then it was my segment, so, it automatically gets
easy come, easy go,
Wow. All right, well...
If it's true, that's awesome.
Yeah, if it's true, that would be great. I know Christopher Nolan would actually like to do it. He's spoken about that many times, that he would love to do a Bond movie. But it's just a rumor. He's in the middle of getting ready for his movie that hasn't even shot yet. So trust me, Bond is not on the front of his mind just right now. Oh, Interstellar. That's his next movie.
Welcome to Brian's Trailer Park. Let's see, we got a pair of Magnolia pictures here. So we'll start with the first one from the sick bastards over there. They're dropping the second of what I can only assume will be an ongoing cornucopia of horror shorts for years to come. VHS 2 drops on us on July 12th and follows the same formula as last time, but this time it's got apparently a slightly larger budget. The basic plot is a couple of private investigators are looking for a missing student and come across, of course, a collection of VHS tapes that they must sift through to find their missing person. So this time around, we have some directors who've made such movies as The Raid, Blair Witch Project, and Hobo with a Shotgun.
That was not good. That was not good.
Yeah, which one of those don't really fit with good movies? So who's ready to watch a couple of hours of crazy cults aliens, and exploding Asians.
I actually want to see it. It does look to have a lot more money put into it. I
So
like
it's got $14 instead of $12.
I like the concept, but like Brian just said, it looks like we have another Saw on our hands, and that makes me nervous.
I don't know if I agree with what Brian said because it's Brian. I think this trailer looks a lot better than the last one did. It seems like there is more money into it. Mm-hmm. Therefore, there's an actual production company behind it, not just Hank and Jimmy got $40 and they decided to make a movie. It seems like there's actually people behind this one. So I'm really interested to see it. The trailer is a lot more well done. It looks more like the movie the first one should have been to me.
I think the kicker is going to be what they do with the story because it needs to have some kind of substance to it that the first one didn't. Mm-hmm. There was no really wrap up. There was no satisfaction at the end. Because if they don't do that, then it's just going to be all about shock factor from here on out. And just let's just see how much crazy crap we can put on these VHS tapes that doesn't make any sense because we don't have to make any sense because the other ones didn't.
I guess the umbrella story that kind of tied all those movies together in the first one really stunk. I would have been just as pleased with you just have some old man sitting there in front of a VCR pulling out one tape and just punching in another one and then starting up whatever segment comes next. It would have been probably more entertaining.
Could have just been Brian.
Sitting
there scratching at his
That's right. Just sitting in the boxers, hand stuff down the front of them.
Other hand in a bucket of popcorn.
Don't switch those around.
By the way, I just saw a picture of Brian when he had hair, and that freaked me out.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's freaky, man. It's like when you see the devil for the first time. That's what he looked like.
It's a handsome devil.
Yeah, this one looks pretty good. I was actually surprised. The first one left us all a little lukewarm, but the trailer actually looks pretty promising. So I'll be in for another round. What the hell?
All right. Well, August 2nd brings our other Magnolia movie called Europa Report, led by Charlton Copley, a.k.a. Murdoch, or that guy from District 9. Europa Report follows 6 astronauts as they man an expedition to Jupiter's fourth moon. When the unmanned probes discover what appears to be an ocean underneath the icy surface, curiosity just might kill these cats as they discover much more than what they bargained for. Now, Justin...
And Justin says he's the writer.
Yeah.
Well, what interests me about this, and I don't mean this to be self-serving, but my first book, Haywire, takes place a lot on a moon of Jupiter. And so to actually see what Jupiter looks like, in a film, of course, but to see what it looks like that close to its moons and to see those settings, it's kind of exciting. This really looks tense. I'm looking forward to it. A lot of the remarks I've seen about it, it's like they're trying to get scientists to really validate, hey, this is, a close to reality, how we might go out there sort of movie. And that's fine, but it's a horror film at heart, and I'd rather see what some horror fans think of it. But it actually looks pretty good, and I like whatever his name is.
Charlton Copley.
Right. Wow.
I had a cigarette with him once.
Wow. That's nice. You're just bonding with everybody.
That's right. I don't smoke anymore, so I don't know if you'd talk to me
Like the same cigarette? Or
No, we had a different one. We had a different one.
That's okay, stop bogarting.
I'm really interested in seeing it. I couldn't tell what kind of style they're going for. Is it found footage, or is it going for documentary style? Because
I think it's kind of a mix of really like a few different types like that. So I think it kind of marries a couple of them.
Well, I'm very interested. I like the way that they shot it. It seemed very tense, very taut. I'm looking forward to it.
I like that it seems more like a realistic approach to the possibility of alien life out there.
Yeah.
Okay, and not that I think it's
as opposed to the giant saucer that comes over and
right. I mean, they're real astronauts. They're not deep core drillers or something like that.
Those are real astronauts, Scott.
Don't piss off Harry Stanford.
Well, but it reminds me of this may be a poor comparison, but the movie Contact. It was all about finding aliens and that kind of thing, but it was done in a serious way. It wasn't like we're looking for little green men. This could really happen. It made it believable, and I like that from the trailer.
Touche.
And you can pick up Haywire on Amazon and Barnes & Nobles.
But this isn't self-serving, he promises.
All right, well, just a little FYI, VHS 2 releases early on iTunes on June 6th, and Europa Report releases early on iTunes on June 27th. So even though they do come to theaters, you can check them out early on iTunes, which is something that Magnolia's been doing for a little bit now. All right, well, these trailers are already up on thehollywoodoutsider.com, so go check them out. You've got a lot of ways to reach us. Call or text us at 818-81-I'm-a-ho. Our email is feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. Go on to facebook.com/thehollywoodoutsider. Like us on there. Send us messages. Tweet us at H_outsider, which we seem to be getting a lot more tweets lately, which is awesome. And you can get your official I'm a Ho t-shirts at thehollywoodoutsider.com.
And also, we've had a couple people ask, because apparently some phones don't actually have the letters on them anymore. I didn't know that was true. But the actual phone number is 818-814-6246. So if you can't spell out I'm a Ho, it's 818-814-6246. And shame on the world if you can't spell I'm a Ho on your phone. That's technology going backwards.
Stump the Ho.
Each week, one of our hosts poses a trivia question to the remaining hosts in an attempt to stump their fellow hoes, as well as you listening. This week, it's Brian's turn, so we're going to hear a lot more pauses than we've had or heard already. Go ahead.
Okay, well, go fuck yourself. So, all right, we're going back to the greatest generation here with my question. So, which famous actor starred in the movie Tora, Tora, Tora that depicts the bombing of Pearl Harbor and was also present during the actual bombing in 1942?
Whoa.
What? All right. Was it A, Henry Fonda, B, Jason Robards, C, Telly Savalas, or D, Jack Klugman?
I'll go with Jason Robards.
All right. Justin?
I'll go with Klugman.
I will as well, because he's the only one I know.
Quincy.
All right. Well, Aaron, you'll be glad to know that you actually got it right.
I know.
He was actually stationed at Pearl Harbor at the time of the bombing.
I knew that one. So, bam.
You guys did you know it?
Yes, I did know that one. Mm-hmm.
Wow. All right. Well, good on you. Telly Savalas was actually a soldier during World War II. Henry Fonda was actually in the Pacific Theater during World War II, but not over there during Pearl Harbor. Jack Klugman, I don't think served, or at least from my little bit of research I did. I don't think
3 minutes before the show? Your deep research?
Didn't say I did a lot of it.
All right, now let's go to the big screen because there's nothing Justin's waiting for more than to offer up his spoiler-free review of Star Trek Into Darkness. And we're going to keep this under 10 minutes, Justin. So try not to give the whole history of Star Trek.
We're keeping Justin's part under 10 minutes, or we're keeping the whole thing under 10 minutes?
We'll keep the whole thing under 10 minutes.
There's a big difference between the two.
Because we are having a spoiler cast at the very end of the show, so if you want to hear more detail, then you can hear that at the end.
Well, if you guys want to get a really good review of this, head on over to the site, read my written review. It's all there for you.
It's true.
But with Star Trek Into Darkness, it starts off a couple years after the original film, and our intrepid crew of the USS Enterprise is in a planet in the Nibiru system. A volcano is about to go off, and if it does, then the native inhabitants of that planet are going to die and go extinct. And so Captain James T. Kirk and crew decide that they're going to save them. But in the doings of that, Spock's life is jeopardized. The Prime Directive is broken. Much ado is made about Kirk's his inability to restrain himself. He thinks he can do no wrong. He does whatever he feels like he needs to, and that's just not the way Starfleet does things. Meanwhile, that you see there's a explosion from a terrorist bombing at a Starfleet facility that seems to have this person named John Harrison's involvement in it. Who is John Harrison? Why did he do this? And now a posse of captains and their crew get together to discuss what's going to happen with Admiral Marcus. Suddenly, shots go off. Every captain basically gets shot up, which just happens to leave our nice Captain James T. Kirk to go back to his Enterprise and give chase. I really tried to do that without giving any spoilers. I think I managed to do so. Fellas, we have all seen this movie. I've actually seen it twice. Have any of you seen it twice this weekend?
Not
No,
this weekend. buddy.
Okay, so I'm obviously the best person to talk about this film. You guys can go take a break. Story-wise, what did you guys think? Did the trailers give away too much? Did you know too much going in? Or even though we're not going into the spoilers now, were you surprised? And don't tell us how you were, but were you actually surprised by directions this movie went?
The trailers really did a very good job of getting you excited about it, but yet not revealing a whole lot. I don't think anybody really knows who one of my favorite current actors, Benedict Cumberbatch, is. You don't know really what all's going on. You know there's a whole lot of shit's getting blown up. You don't know why. You got all the pretty pictures, all the excitement, all the action, show the faces that people are familiar with, but you don't really see a whole lot about what the movie is about. So I thought it was great. I actually also think that, and I kind of maybe talk about this a little bit later, towards the end of it, it does a good job of almost feeling like the movie's over, but then bam, there's like another 20 minutes.
I was entertained from beginning to end. This was over 2 hours, and I did not even realize it. It was just so entertaining. It had everything: action, drama, comedy, emotion, pretty much everything you want in a summer blockbuster.
The one thing I think is funny is when I've talked to people that are Star Trek fans, they tell me how much smarter this is science fiction wise than every other science fiction franchise. I don't understand that. I just watched a couple of the old Star Trek movies. That shit ain't any smarter than this. It's not rocket science. I mean, The Con, great movie, fun movie. It ain't deep. So I don't understand where all that comes from. This one, same kind of concept. It's basically a chase movie. The thing about the story that really surprised me is the Kirk-Spock friendship and how that's focused on how even though Spock and Kirk kind of go at each other at one point and they're kind of defining friendship, the fact that they ultimately, regardless of what the previous movie had changed the course of history and whatnot, history is always going to dictate these two belong as friends. And the way that plays out as a real important story element, I think was one of the best parts of the entire script. Yep. And the fact that they kept that together, I think the movie it's a very simple plot, but it's very direct, has a lot of heart. I love some of the turns they took. And no, a lot of the stuff wasn't given away in the trailers, but I kind of knew as soon as like 5 minutes into the movie, I kind of knew exactly who he was.
I'm really glad that Kirk and Spock's relationship was such a focus of the film. Too many people said that the first one was more about the whiz-bang kind of CGI'd stuff and less about the characters. Well, this one was all about character and relationship, whether it's Kirk and Spock, who are, of course, the focal points, but, even Spock and Uhura, Pike and Kirk, all of them have their own relationships. I mean, even Cumberbatch John Harrison and Kirk, they even have a little bit of a relationship there that they have to deal with because as opposed as these guys are, they're not as opposite as they might seem to be. So I really enjoyed it. I thought they handled that really well, but that kind of leads right into the performances overall. Was there anybody in this that you really thought knocked it out of the park other than Cumberbatch? Because Jesus Christ, that guy's on the screen and it's like a black hole. Your eyes just locked on it. You can't look away. The guy is powerful.
He's the only thing that distracts me from lens flares.
Well, the thing is that when you've got an actor of his caliber, he raises the performance level of everyone else around him because they know, oh shit, this dude's bringing it. If I don't bring it too, I'm going to look like weak sauce. And so it's great to have someone like him to do that. But how did you guys think the acting went overall?
Chris Pine, I think, is a better Shatner than Shatner. I'll be honest with you. I like him more than I like William Shatner.
Yeah.
I love William Shatner for all the things he does. But Chris Pine has more. He's just more energetic. He seems like a guy I could follow. William Shatner seemed like a guy I'd want to have a beer with and then never see again. Simon Pegg has some great lines. I think he's a great Scotty. The rest of the crew of the Enterprise are fit perfectly. Bones, Carl Urban does a great job. Quinto was the one I didn't like in the first movie, and everybody gives me shit. Well, that's stupid. He was a great Spock. I thought he sucked as Spock in the first movie. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that you had Leonard Nimoy in the movie so much. When you put the real Spock up against Zachary Quinto, he just does not stand out. I'm sorry, he just did not hold his own with Leonard Nimoy, because Leonard Nimoy, he invented that character, and he made that character work fantastic. He didn't have to say much to convey heart. And Quinto, I think, worked really hard in the first movie to try to get that. This movie, it's all Quinto, and I think he nailed it. I mean, he took it, he made it his own. I loved him in this one, just kind of liked him in the first one.
I think it's interesting that this is the first Star Trek is, 4 years old, and it seems like every character, whether it be Kirk or Spock or Uhura or Scotty, just picked up right where they left off.
Yeah, very much.
I mean, but there's also a little bit more level of maturity. They're also not newbies anymore. They've been around the block a little bit, so they're the exact same characters with just a little bit more refinement to them. And I thought they were all really, really good. I can't really think of a performance that I thought was bad that carried over from the first film.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Peter Weller was a little over the top as Admiral Marcus. I mean, he's a little over the top.
Mm-hmm.
But
flashing back to his 80s days. With the...
yeah. But outside of that, it was nothing that really took me out of the movie, though.
I mean, outside of Benedict Cumberbatch, I think if anybody really kind of stole the movie, it was Simon Pegg. I thought he was fantastic.
Now let's not leave Carl Urban out, though. He is so good as Bones.
He really is.
That I constantly was wishing he was more present in the film, because his performance is just so cantankerous, and that's exactly what Bones should be. But the guy I kind of felt bad for was John Cho. He fucking had nothing to do other than push the throttle forward a couple of times, and one scene where he actually got to speak for more than a couple of words, but he nailed that fucking
I was going to say,
scene.
it was a pretty badass scene.
Honestly,
it is a pretty badass little scene.
That's most of the Trek movies, though. I mean, those guys take a back seat.
But yeah, I thought Zachary Quinto was fantastic. Great Spock. I liked him in the first one, but in this one, he nailed it really well, too. Lens flares aside, what did you guys think of
You can't put the lens flares aside because they're all up in your grill.
There was a lot less of them this time, man.
There was quite
a lot less, but there were less.
They don't bother me. I've said it before. I'll say it again. They don't bother me. What did you guys think about the production quality on this, and whether it's the CGI, which was quite prevalent but might have been real? But overall, what did you guys think of the look of the film?
I thought it was pretty much exactly what I wanted. A really good mix of computer graphics and action.
Practical. That was the word I was looking for. Sorry, Scotty.
No, it's okay. The space, I saw it in IMAX 3D.
Lottie fucking da.
Well, I actually took a trip because this is a movie I was really looking forward to see. I went and saw it on the really big IMAX, and it was so worth it. It was so worth it. The 3D was a really good mix of depth 3D as well as some in-your-face 3D, but not overused by any means. It's exactly what I wanted in a Star Trek action movie. It was really good. What did you think?
Good special effects, strong score, and damn if the movie didn't keep me at attention the entire way through.
Yeah.
And the fact that he could do that, because, man, not many movies. Avengers was probably the last movie that had me on that much of a roller coaster, where I was like, yes. One scene took me out of it. I won't talk about it until the spoiler cast, but outside of that, it flowed perfect. Great summer movie.
The rhythm of it, the pace of it was pretty much really high the whole time. It really didn't drop down and get slow for the most part through the whole movie. So really kept my attention and everything.
I mean, it's a 2 hour and 13-minute movie, and sci-fi films are known for boring moments. This film had practically, for me, none. There was no fat in this film. And when I watched it the second time, I was with my brother who hadn't seen it yet, and I kept thinking, oh, wow, he thinks it's about to end. There is still more to go. There is still more to go. So, yeah, there are a few too many feelings of the rise and fall at the end, but it's pretty almost flawlessly paced. So, with all of that being said, what do you guys think of this movie? If someone were to say between $1 and $10, what would you pay to go see this movie?
Star Trek Into Darkness is pretty much exactly why I love to see summer films, and despite some distracting lens flares and a very minor story element that bugged me, it's a near perfect film for me. I gave it a 9.50.
Ooh.
Brian, what did you think?
Thought it was fun. It was exciting, tense. Benedict Cumberbatch kicks some serious ass. Like I said, it just kind of kept going like, it was over, but, it wasn't still too many lens flares, but I'm giving it an 8.5. It was a really fun ride.
This could have been a perfect movie for me, except for that one specific scene, which I'll talk about later. But still, most fun I've had in the theater so far this year, and beat the shit out of Iron Man 3 for me. 9 out of 10.
Yeah, for me, I was thrilled when I left the theater. As much as I liked the first one, I think this one upped the ante in just about every respect. I gave it a 10 out of 10, and I don't take that back from my written review. I'll stick with it. It is almost flawless in every conceivable way for me. I adored it.
And not to tout Justin's ego any more than it already needs to, but I highly recommend.
No, it sure don't.
I do highly recommend our listeners to check out his written review. That's on our website. It's he makes a really good analogy that I think is well worth checking out. Very good review.
Oh, that's nice. Because he wouldn't pay the same token to you. I'm just saying.
Oh, I'm seeing Scotty's praises constantly.
His great,
listen to them.
his great.
I listened to last week's show, man. I hope you.
Oh, what?
Shit, busted.
I gotta go.
So I got this thing that hi.
Box office. Star Trek, unfortunately, made less than the reboot 4 years ago. So even with increased ticket prices and 3D surcharges, it made $70.1 million. The original made, or the reboot made $79 million. Now, I think a lot of that has to do with Iron Man 3 is huge. Great Gatsby, huge. Iron Man 3 is still $35.7 million. That's the third week. It's made $337 million. Great Gatsby, $23.9 million for a $90.6 million in 2 weeks. That's actually really, they thought it wasn't even going to end up with that much, so that's pretty good. Pain and Gain, way down at number 4 with $3.2 million for $46 million total. And The Croods is still in the top 5. Please, more movies fucking come out. Get this thing away. $3 million for $177 million.
That's the last you'll see.
Do you think Paramount should have waited until next weekend?
No, because with Fast and Furious 6 coming out and Hangover 3, I think they should have waited till later in the summer, honestly. I think they were too close to Iron Man 3 and right before Fast and Furious 17 and Hangover 3. I mean, Star Trek is going to get lost in that mix. I'm worried. But overseas...
There's not many windows for that, to slot that movie.
Yeah, and overseas it's actually up 80% though. So it's already made about $95 million. The original, or the last reboot, made only $128 million total overseas. So it could easily make up the difference there.
Real quick, speaking of Star Trek, if you can find the last, or maybe the one before, actually I think it was the last episode of the Graham Norton Show. It's a BBC talk show where the guests, they actually stay the whole hour, not just 5 minutes like on Jay Leno or David Letterman. His last guests were Benedict Cumberbatch and Chris Pine. It is phenomenal. If you like them now, you will love them after this.
All right, guys, we have 2 films that are going to be coming out on May 31st. First one, After Earth. This is a science fiction action film co-written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. It stars the father and son dynamic duo of Will and Jaden Smith. It's based on an original story idea by Will Smith, though I think that's stretching the word original to its breaking point. 1,000 years after cataclysmic events forced humanity to escape from Earth, Nova Prime has become mankind's new home. Legendary General Cypher Rage returns
Cypher Rage?
R-A-I-G-E, so Rage maybe?
Rage.
Legendary General Cypher Rage returns from an extended tour of duty to his estranged family, ready to be a father to his 13-year-old son, Katai. When an asteroid storm damages Cypher and Katai's craft, they crash land on a now unfamiliar and dangerous Earth. As his father lies dying in the cockpit, Katai must trek across the hostile terrain to recover their rescue beacon. His whole life, Katai has wanted nothing more than to be a soldier like his father. Today, he gets his chance. Considering that M. Night's name has become synonymous with crap, which is a real shame considering how promising his career started off, I don't have particularly high hopes for this one. Brian, are you ready to get back to Earth?
Oh, God, man, I'll be honest with you. I really didn't pay much attention to this. I didn't really, as far in the sense that M. Night Shyamalan was directing it. So the fact that Will Smith and his son both are starring in this was a pretty big knock on this movie. I did have high hopes for it because I do like the concept. I wish other people were involved with it. The special effects look phenomenal. It really kind of looks like it has some pretty intense moments. But now that I'm learning that M. Night Shyamalan directed it, I don't know if I want. I'll say this: I will go see it, but my expectations are very low. Very low.
Who's the director again?
M. Night Shyamalan.
And who plays the kid again?
Jaden Smith?
Oh, yeah. Fuck this movie. Yeah. I'm not going to see it. Not unless none of you bitches go. That's the only way I'm going
Why
to
do
see
you
it.
hate Jaden Smith?
Because I think he's a shitty actor. I think M. Night... I love Will Smith. But I'm sick of you forcing your son on me. Make him go away. And M. Night Shyamalan, fuck you too. You've had 3... And I know I'm using the F word too much. I should be more respectful and be a real critic.
What word is that?
Fuck. But... Shyamalan, motherfucker, you have dicked me around for the last almost a decade. Yeah, with your shit, your Lady in the Water, your Village, all your crap. Last Airbender, which sucked. Just stop making movies. Go back to McDonald's or Walmart or wherever it is you started at, because that's where you belong. I don't want to watch his movies anymore. I love Will Smith. Go ahead and do something else. Bad Boys 3, still waiting on it. Scotty, do you want to see it?
Wow.
Please speak up.
I actually also did not know that M. Night Shyamalan was doing this movie, but that wouldn't have made me any more interested. I'm suffering from trailer fatigue with this movie. It's in every movie you see in the theater anymore. No matter if it's an action, comedy, whatever, they're advertising the crap out of this movie, and I'm so tired of seeing it to the point that I don't want to.
Fear is not real. Danger, though.
But like Brian said...
Oh my God, his fucking name is Cypher Rage. What kind of a stupid name is that? That sounds like an 80s movie villain.
Well, and he's legendary general.
Yeah, he's a legendary general, man. His son wants to be a legendary just like his dad. Legend. I wonder if his dad will die at the end. Oh.
I do have to say, I love the concept of danger being real, but fear being a choice. The way it's presented is in one of the earlier trailers. I kind of got to me. But
Look, and
I'm a sci-fi geek. I will see this. Will it be in a theater? To stop Aaron from jumping on that grenade, I probably will.
And we're talking a few minutes ago about realistic science fiction stuff. Now, whether you do or do not believe in evolution, 1,000 years is a relatively short time for a lot of these animals to evolve in a way to hunt down humans. You've got rampaging, steroid-laden okapi, which, if you don't know what an okapi is, it's like a gazelle or a deer that's got the legs of a zebra, and they're like charging through a river trying to kill one of these two. I don't even know which one. I'm trying to figure out
where you're going
with this one. When did we fall down into a National Geographic?
Just gonna say,
no doubt.
Watch the gazelle.
This is a really short
African
time
cats
for
by
the
Brian
whole
White.
world to just go, you know what? I'm trying to kill any human I can possibly see.
Not having seen it, I'm going to assume there was some kind of genetic engineering gone wrong. We'll have to see, because it does talk about after cataclysmic events force us to escape. So
I'm sure there'll be a voiceover at the beginning of the movie. That'll be.
Yeah. And now, if they had an Independence Day crossover and they actually called it After Earth, I would go see it.
All right. Our second film, Now You See Me. Now, this is a crime thriller directed by Lewis. I really should get to direct another Hulk movie, Leterrier, starring Isla Fisher, Dave Franco, Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, and Morgan Freeman. An FBI agent and an Interpol detective track a team of illusionists who pull off bank heists during their performances and reward their audiences with the money, making it rain. I've avoided trailers on this like the plague because this movie seems like the sort of film that lives and dies by its twists, and we know how little Hollywood marketing machine really cares about spoilers. Aaron, are you going to be seeing this one in theaters, or are you going to pull a disappearing act?
Boom! Boom. Nicely worded. It's got Eisenberg and Harrelson together again. All they're missing is Emma Stone and then whatever that girl's name was. I can't wait to see it. This is what I'm claiming it now. This is the sleeper hit of the summer. Mm-hmm. Everything I've seen about this seems like it's the most original thing I've seen that's coming out this year, or at least this summer. I can't wait. It looks fun. It looks interesting. The actors are top notch. You've got a lot of them in this movie too.
And it came out of nowhere.
I'm sure it came out of somewhere, but it surprised the hell out of me. I didn't see it coming. Huh.
Jesus.
Oh, it just came to me too. It's just like whoosh, whoosh.
Yeah, you should have kept it to yourself. You should have put up the hand and said, "Nope, don't come to me. Just go back." But you're right. This looks like a whole lot of fun. And one of those movies that you're constantly trying to figure out, and hopefully you don't figure it out too early. And a lot of great actors and stuff. It looks like a whole lot of fun.
It does, and I love watching magicians do what they do. To see them use that kind of magic spin on a crime thriller really seems fun. And the charm factor on our 4 leads, the magicians, is off the charts. So I will see this one in theaters too. But of these 2 films, guys, which ones are you most likely going to be seeing in theaters May 31st? After Earth or Now You See Me? Aaron?
Who directed After Earth again? I'll be going
Steven Spielberg.
Ooh! Now I want to see it. Is Tom Cruise in it? Oh, Jaden Smith, fuck that. I'll go to Now You See Me.
Scotty?
Now You See Me.
And Brian?
Now You See Me.
Yeah, let's go ahead and make it a clean sweep. Now You See Me looks like the much more interesting film, though. This might be one of those weekends where I see 2.
I would agree with you, though. Just for the popcorn aspect of it, I kind of want to see After Earth, and then I'll probably stab myself in the eye after that, going, God damn it, he got me again.
Just run over your own foot as you drive out of the theater.
I would love.
I deserve this.
I hope you guys are pleasantly surprised. I really do.
Me too.
You can listen and subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher Radio app. Give us a thumbs up if you do, or through our RSS feed on thehollywoodoutsiders.com. New episode is up every Thursday, and RockfordCollegeRadio.com Thursdays from 4 to 6.
What's this movie?
What's this movie? Each week we play ours or listener suggested clip from a movie, and if you think you know what the clip is, email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com or send us a direct message or a text at our number, 818-81-AMAHO, or Twitter, H_outsider. We'll announce those that got it correct on the air and give you a proper host shout-out. Last week's answer was Brian's, and it was Point Break. Give me 2. Utah. Give me 2.
Utah. Give me 2.
How many?
2. People that got it correct: Ashley, Wally K, Dan M, and Sean M. So congratulations, guys. You guys, golf clap. This week it is my turn, and this is one of my favorite sound bites of all time. So here's your clip.
The guy's in the bathroom. Why don't I just go back there, shoot him in the back of the head, and we can get the hell out of here?
Don't do that. Look, you asked me to act natural, I'm acting natural. In fact, under the circumstances, I think I had to get a fucking Academy Award for how natural I'm acting. You asked me to get rid of him, I'm doing my best.
Well, your best better get a hell of a lot fucking better, or you are going to feel a hell of a lot fucking worse. Everybody be cool. You be cool.
All right, now let's go to the couch. We're talking about TV and home video news. Haunting Melissa is an iPad-only app that apparently is a horror show or flick, I'm not sure which, but you pay per episode. So you get the first episode free, and then you pay for episodes after that if you want to continue the story. It's a pretty interesting idea that's new in horror. Brian, did you get a chance to check this out, or what do you know about it?
Well, yeah, I actually did, and you can buy it per episode, or you can just buy the quote unquote season pass. I went ahead and did the season pass. I watched it actually about the first episode, which is free, is 17 minutes long, and yeah, I've watched it. It's okay so far. It's pretty low, fairly low budget. It's not really drummed up a whole lot of suspense, but again, I mean, there's, I don't know, 8 or 9 episodes, something like that.
And how long are they?
Well, this first one was 17 minutes. I don't know about each one. And apparently it on a random clock or something sends you the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Now, again, I've paid for the full season. I watched it Sunday night, and we're recording on Tuesday. I still haven't got the second part yet. So,
how many episodes are total?
I believe, I didn't count them, to be honest with you. I think but it's like 8 or 9, something like that.
All right.
So
That's interesting. And how much is each episode then? Like $2?
Well,
do you guys listen to each other during the segment? I swear.
I just like hearing him repeat himself.
Cocksucker. All right. Well, The pass is available for $6 or $14.99 in HD. Individual episodes are available for 99 cents or $1.99 in HD. So it's basically relying on a whole lot of word of mouth type of stuff. They've already actually approved a second one.
Oh wow!
So, but it is a found footage one. You can watch the first one for free. You can watch the second one for free if you post it on Facebook. And I don't know initially I'm not exactly sold on it. I paid for the shit, so I'm going to finish it. That's just kind of how I am.
You should expense it back to Aaron.
Trust me.
Yeah.
He'll get a receipt.
He'll pay somehow.
Right. I do appreciate the originality of the whole thing. So, and that's I've still got a little bit of enthusiasm for it, but it is off to a little bit of a slow start. Especially the fact that it finally starts to go get you a little bit worked up for it. And now, like I said, I'm waiting for 2 days for the second part. That being said, it does say that it is kind of a disjointed schedule, so you may get it minutes after you finish watching it, or you might get it days after.
Speaking of Apple TV, it's a nice segue. They have now added the CW to its roster, giving it the first network available directly through Apple TV. So is this going to be, we've talked about several different ways that they're out there. Is this a new way for television?
Well, going forward, it does seem that the traditional ways of getting your network content are definitely changing, and I love seeing that the CW is making this available through Apple TV. I've got Netflix and I've got Hulu Plus, but even with both of those, there are still some shows that if I don't record them on my DVR, I don't get. And, it's a first world problem where. But the CW's got a couple shows that I do like to keep up with. But, Arrow. I didn't watch the first season, but if you go on to Hulu, well, the first season's not available. And, of course, it's not available yet on Netflix. So either I watch it on my computer or I don't watch it at all. But now I'll be able to watch it through my Apple TV like I wished I could have done already. And it's a nice way to do it. I hope more channels do this. It's probably easier for a network to do it than say something like HBO, but I would love for all of these content providers to make their stuff available via Apple TV and other avenues like that, and don't make me be strapped to my satellite dish.
Scotty, you just got one, didn't you?
I did. My wife bought it for me actually as a graduation present. I haven't taken it out of the box yet. But
by the way.
Oh yeah,
Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congrats too, by the way.
Brian's like, I'm glad you got Apple TV. Oh yeah, the diploma's cool too.
Oh yeah. That diploma thing's good.
So, this is a new station that they've added. Is this a regular thing? Because I'm not familiar with it at all. Are there other TV stations on there besides CW?
No, that's why that's notable that it's the first.
First network. Okay.
You just gave me shit for not paying attention. You should pay attention.
Yep. Well, it just seems weird that
when you give me shit about paying attention, you should be paying attention to yourself.
Well, they do have things. Vimeo, they've got Hulu Plus, they've got YouTube, Netflix, MLB.com, NHL, the NBA, but no official network channel yet. This will be the first in that score.
It's basically the iTunes library is accessible.
Right. It just seems like an odd choice to start with that channel.
Well, I doubt it was Apple's choice. It's probably the CW came to them. Because the CW does make their stuff available through the Xbox, and so now they've come over to the Apple TV as well.
Okay.
Along the same lines, ABC, you can now watch live episodes through their app on the iPad or iPhone.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, and that's, bringing that up, though, there are a lot of network channels that if you have, say, a satellite dish or a cable provider, you can download the app, the iPad app for like A&E and those other channels, watch their shows on your iPad, and then send it right through to your Apple TV. So those are kind of available, but not every show they've got is up. But this is an official app on the Apple TV. So it's pretty cool. And the CW is known as a network for younger people.
Little girls.
Well... Yes, and me, because I love Supernatural.
No, he meant both, actually, same time.
Right. Okay.
He was calling you a little
do love to wear little dresses.
Right. So it's not strange that the CW would be the network channel looking for these newer ways to deliver content as opposed to the old people channels like CBS.
Okay, now Xbox unveiled their new console. So Scott, we're not going to talk about that for 45 minutes. But Xbox One is coming, and I assume holiday season. But the one big thing that they announced that relates to us is Steven Spielberg is behind a Halo TV series.
Mm-hmm.
Are you excited about that?
We've been talking about the possibility of a Halo movie for quite a while, actually, even on this show. For those that aren't gamers, Halo is probably one of the most popular series on the Microsoft platform. It's Master Chief is basically a space marine, more or less, and there's actually a pretty decent story going in on that. And there's been a lot of talk about whether or not there's going to be another animated movie or a live-action movie. It had been in talks, it had been dropped, and now it's officially confirmed. And this was one really well-kept secret because nobody knew anything
I haven't heard
about
any
this.
rumors
It was
about it at all.
Quite a bomb drop that was done at this announcement this morning. So Steven Spielberg actually did a recording, kind of talking about it at the press conference. And
Man, is he looking old?
he is, but
Ain't we all?
I mean, what a great. That gives me such excitement. We talked about Assassin's Creed earlier. Mm-hmm. This could be the next one that's just people taking video game stories seriously, and I'm all kinds of excited about it. And I'm not even like a big Halo fan.
Well, Justin is. So, Are you excited about it?
Fuck yes. I mean, there's something about seeing something on the big silver screen that has an appeal above and beyond the small TV screen, but any way that Halo can be brought to a wider audience and given the money and the attention and the clout behind it to make a really good presentation of it, I'm all for. I really cannot wait to see how they handle this, because Halo is one of my favorite video game franchises, and it's got a story just ready to be told.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a lot of interesting things that they're bringing for entertainment itself. So I'll be curious once we get a few more real details about that. Then maybe we can talk about it.
3 more weeks.
Yep. Scott, let's go to DVD and Blu-ray.
All right, we're looking at releases for May 28th. First up, we've got Dark Skies. From the producer of Paranormal Activity and Insidious comes Dark Skies, which follows Kerry Russell and Josh Hamilton as a couple living in the suburbs who have been experiencing increasingly disturbing events that lead them to discover that they're being pursued by a deadly force.
What?
I don't think any of us saw that.
Justin and I both reviewed it.
Did you? I am so
Bro,
sorry.
way to pay attention to the show.
This is why you don't give people shit, Scott.
We both reviewed it.
It was a 5.5 and a 6.
5.5 and a 6.
I knew that off the top of my head.
Did
Just
you?
seeing
All
it.
right. What episode was it?
I don't fucking remember.
we've paid
The
attention.
one that's called Dark Hose. I remember that.
The
And
Hollywood Outsider / reviews. Look it up, bitch.
I usually
Justin gave it a 5.5 and Aaron gave it a 6 because I liked it just a little bit more, and it's not often that I like a sci-fi movie more than Justin.
Sci-fi.
Yeah.
Okay. Generation This film follows 3 individuals as they experience a single yet apparently routine day in New York City as they attempt to discover themselves. It stars Keanu Reeves and a couple other girls I've never heard of.
The one thing I've heard about this movie is one of the worst movies ever with one of the best Keanu Reeves performances.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That kind of makes me want to see it just to see
Well,
him.
that makes
act
one of
well.
us. Yeah.
The Number Station. John Cusack is a former Black Ops agent who is assigned to protect...
John Cusack, Black Ops. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, he's assigned to protect a young code announcer played by, is it Malin Ackerman? Is that how you pronounce her name? Malin? Malin Ackerman. They are, of course, attacked and fight for survival ensues.
I don't know why you were looking at me when you're thinking about names, because I...
Good call. Also on TV, Suits Season 2 is available, as well as Red Widow. The first season is available.
Suits, love that show.
Yeah, that's one I got to check out.
You got to check
Isn't
that out.
that on the same shitty channel as Psych?
You know what?
Yep.
Son of
US.
a bitch.
I mean, what is it? USA? I didn't even think that was a channel anymore.
Characters are welcome. You shut up.
With that, we'll move on to our Recasting the Classics segment. This week it is Justin's turn, but Justin, real quick, before you go into yours, why don't you tell us what it is one more time?
Sure. Recasting the Classics is a segment of the show where one of us hosts offers to the other a classic film in which they must recast 4 of its stars with modern actors. You can stick close, you can go far afield, just be able to explain why you chose who you chose. Last time around, Brian handed me Ghostbusters. He wanted me to recast Peter Venkman, Ray Stantz, Egon, and Dana Barrett. And thanks to a couple people making some noise out there, I went ahead and added Winston to the mix, even though Aaron is a total tyrant, a podcasting despot. You cannot do the Ghostbusters.
Zig hat!
All of the Ghostbusters in it. So
apparently leaving out the black guy, which Brian did, not me, was a problem. So
hey, look, there were 3 Ghostbusters from the start, and you had the female. I got one female in there. Got the 3 Ghostbusters. They hired him later.
If we'd have put in just the 4 Ghostbusters, someone would have been bitching that we didn't have the one female in there.
Woman in there. Oh, you can't have a woman in here.
All right. Well, we are going to start off with Ray Winston, who was, of course, played by I have seen shit that will turn you white, Ernie Hudson. For this role, I didn't want to go with a traditional black comedic actor, but I did want to get somebody who could be funny when he needed to be. And so I went with Terrence Howard on this one. I think the guy has got some serious comedic chops. I haven't seen movie 43, but in one of the Red Band trailers, I saw part of his scene where he's a basketball coach, and it had me rolling on the floor laughing. The guy is funny, and I think he would bring a seriousness to it with some, physicality, but also a real sense of comedy. So Terrence Howard as Ray Winston. Of course, Egon Spengler, played by Harold Ramis. He's smart. He's kind of deadpan. It was hard for me to find an actor that I felt like could replicate that sense of comedy without trying to be funny. But then I happened to think of Sam Rockwell. And to me, he can play that. And so that's who I chose to play Egon. Now, for Dan Aykroyd's Ray, there were so many people I thought of for this. Paul Rudd, maybe I could put in there. But eventually I stumbled upon Patton Oswalt.
Oh, nice.
And I thought, he's fucking funny. He's also smart. And if you look back on the Ghostbusters, Ray had a little bit of a pudge on him, too. So I thought Patton Oswalt would be a good fit next to Sam Rockwell.
You should see Ray now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he needs to let out the jumpsuit a little bit. All right, now for Sigourney Weaver's Dana. Shit, there were so many really good actresses out there that I could have put in it, but the one that came to me that plays very, very smart, who I could actually see as a concert. What was she, a cellist?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think that's what she played. Who could be that sultry yet very, very smart chick, Tina Fey. A lot of people I could have put, but I thought she could bring that smart, funny, sexy kind of character to the screen.
My favorite comedic actress. I'm applauding. Nice job.
Thank you. All right, and for the big one,
don't fuck this up.
Peter Venkman, Bill Murray. My first instinct, and I almost went with him, but I didn't. But my first instinct was Seth Rogen. He's too young for one thing,
and he sucks for another.
Well, I like Seth Rogen. I like him a lot, but he is far too young to play a contemporary to Patton Oswalt and Sam Rockwell. So instead, when I started thinking of actors that kind of fit that Bill Murray type, who's charming, smarmy, you could really believe he could seduce a lady and yet play this Ghostbuster type. And so finally I settled on Vince Vaughn. I think, based on a lot of his past performances, the guy has got that.
See, if you have a Vince Vaughn, you've got to, by contract, he has to put in Owen Wilson.
Well, he could maybe be one of the ghosts. Or maybe Owen Wilson would play the role that Rick Moranis played. But
that would fit.
I like Vince Vaughn's smooth, kind of smarmy charm.
When Vince Vaughn is actually acting, he's a really good actor. Mm-hmm. He just hasn't done it in a very long time. But I'm with you. I love Vince Vaughn, so I'd see that movie.
Is that an acceptable?
I like
Ghostbusters casting.
I like it. You should. I like Brian's idea. You should have made everybody black except Winston.
Well, I for a while I was going to change Ray to a woman character. I do think that for Ghostbusters, all of them dudes in a modern kind of setting now is a little bit, sausage heavy, but it is such a traditional movie for me, or not traditional, but it's such a classic that I had to go with 4 charming dudes. Okay. So,
all right, Justin, and now it's time to turn it over to me. 2 weeks from now, what is my movie?
Son, you are going to be recasting one of my favorite films of all time.
So
Is it that Kim Kardashian video? Because I can recast that.
Oh, God, yeah, but if you're going to be in that, who's going to be Ray J?
Oh, wow. Justin, what's my movie?
First off, that's not a classic because it ain't over 20 years old.
That's true.
All right. You're going to be recasting Weird Science.
Ooh.
I want you to recast Gary Wallace, who was played by Anthony Michael Hall, of course. Wyatt Donnelly, played by Ian Mitchell Smith. Lisa, Kelly LeBrock.
Wow.
And Chet Donnelly and Bill Paxton. Still, I think, my favorite fucking performance he's ever given.
Chet.
I didn't think it was a whale's dick, honey.
Wow. Weird Science.
Hey, Danny. Hey, Grampy.
By the way, I still love that theme song. Oingo Boingo. I don't care. You guys should make our comeback. So.
Weird Science. That one?
Oh, and Robert Downey Jr. was so fucking funny in that
He
movie,
was.
too.
That was a good
So there
one.
you go. Weird Science. It's one of
Got
my
it.
favorite films of all time.
Come back
Also,
in 2 weeks.
real quick, if any of those listeners are good with Photoshop, because I'm not, if you guys made took the posters of the movies and put the faces of everybody on there, I think that would be really funny.
Yeah, if somebody can actually work that out.
Yeah,
great.
because I can't do it. I don't know.
I'd love to see that Ghostbusters cover with those.
Seriously,
we
wouldn't
put it on the website if you can figure it out.
Yeah, do
knock
it.
yourself out. Now our From the Outside In topic. This week, in honor of the recent Memorial Day holiday, we're claiming our favorite war movies. Not fucking Starship Troopers and shit like that, Scott. we're talking top 3 from each of us, and we're going to exclude Saving Private Ryan just because it's going to make everybody's list. So why? Let's just acknowledge its awesomeness, and we'll move on. Okay. So top 3 war movies and why. And we'll start with Brian because I know this is one of his favorite genres.
All right, do you want me to go through all 3, or we just kind of rotate?
Just do all 3. Go ahead. It seems to work easier that way.
One of the ones that for me has the most rewatchability is Black Hawk Down. It's like a lot of these war movies. It's got a great ensemble cast. It really is kind of tough to follow who is who and what's going on, what's doing what. As far as the first couple of times you watch it. And actually, having met a couple of the guys that some of these roles were based off of, it's kind of got a special place in my heart. My brother, who's a tattoo artist, has tattooed a couple of them, and through him, I've met them. So, another one is Enemy at the Gates.
That's a great movie.
That was not mine.
Kind of the cat and mouse game, kind of played between the Russian and German snipers in the Battle of Stalingrad. Is really good. And one of the few roles that I really like, Jude Law. Oh,
Ed Harris was awesome in that movie.
Yeah. It's just one of those movies that I kind of went into it with low expectations and was really surprised with it. So another one is one that you guys are more than likely not familiar with, but it does. It's from 1968. It's called Hell in the Pacific.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It's got Lee Marvin and Toshiro Mifune from Seven Samurai.
Easy for you to say.
Easier than you, anyway. Yeah. It's basically about this American pilot and this Japanese Navy captain who are both stranded on this small uninhabited island. One of the guys would devise something useful, wouldn't allow the other one to kind of benefit from it. The other one would steal it, and basically it kind of went like this for a while until they kind of figure out how to work together. All the while not speaking the same language, by the way. Ooh. So, it's not a movie where they're having conversations and one's got a Japanese accent, the other one's got American. They're not really talking. So it's a really unique movie. Think Enemy Mine, but sort of realistically.
But just sort of realistically.
Just without the aliens and baby egg.
All right. Well,
that's my 3.
Nice choice. And Scott, what are your top 3 war movies?
All right. Well, Brian took one
Since
of mine.
we took out Starship Troopers and The Hunt for Red October.
In Battle Los Angeles.
That one was not mine.
And Aliens.
And somehow Ghostbusters made a comeback on that one.
Well, a couple of mine are probably on some people's worst of lists, but I don't care. I like them as movies, not historical documentaries. And my first one's not an American war movie, but I love Braveheart.
Oh, is this number 3 or number 1?
Number 3.
Okay.
Well, no. That would be number 2. I didn't know we were going in any particular order. I just had them.
It's your list. Apparently, it's going to be wrong anyway.
It was one of the first like really violent movies I saw as a kid, and there's some of those scenes are so memorable as it just like the mace
You
to
shall
the
never
face.
take our land.
Oh yeah, and it was just a really good performance, and the soundtrack is awesome in that movie. I really like the soundtrack. Another one is U-571, the submarine movie. I remember that movie being really good because of the sound. That was one of the first movies that I saw where the surround sound really made a lot of difference. You had depth charges going off in every areas. If you haven't seen that one, check it out if you've got a good surround sound, because that's really...
That's Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey, right? And again, historical accuracies aside, I don't care. It was fun to watch. I enjoyed that movie. And again, this is the big one that I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for, but I really enjoyed Pearl Harbor.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Veterans didn't enjoy it, but I admit it's a fun movie.
It's a fun movie.
I mean, the love story's fucking stupid, but...
Yeah, but not enough to ruin the film. There was really, the shots were really cool. Someone mentioned that I read that like you actually see Long Island in a shot or something because it wasn't filmed like in Pearl. Whatever, I don't care. There was a lot of really filling with dread moments in that movie with all the planes flying overhead.
Because that's what I really liked about the movie is during those scenes where the ships are being bombed and everything, you get a pretty good idea of what it must have been like.
Yeah. From all aspects of it, from the nurses, from the people that were actually...
They just tried to make it too Titanic-y. That's the problem.
Maybe. But it wasn't enough to the shots of the planes flying over where the kids are playing baseball and stuff, it's just like, wow, that's like what an invasion would feel like. I enjoyed the movie. I actually saw it a couple times in the theater, so those are mine.
That's one movie he saw in the theater. Justin, what are your top 3 war movies?
All right, well, my number 3 is Master and Commander. This was shot about the Napoleonic Wars. I thought that Russell Crowe just did an amazing job as playing this captain, and Peter Weir's direction was outstanding. You don't often see a lot of sea movies like this that don't feature ghosts or pirates of some sort, and I think it's because a lot of people have tried to make good sailing movies, and quite often the elements just fight against you, but they are able to rise above everything, and I thought Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World, was a really moving and amazing movie to watch. My number 2 is 300. I don't give a shit what people say. I thought Zack Snyder did an amazing job with this film that told let's say probably a few liberties were taken with the battle at Thermopylae, a few, but it's still just an incredibly entertaining movie, and just to see these Spartans go into action is this is one of those battles that if I had a time machine, I do kind of wish I could just kind of float above. And there is no
greater right. There is no greater like quote unquote David versus Goliath type of story.
No, I mean 300 men against that army.
Right.
And they did it. And my number 1 is, and I'm actually kind of surprised Brian didn't pick this, but I think he was going a lot more modern than I'm going. Henry V. Ooh. It's a Shakespearean play, but it's about Henry V's campaign against France. The Kenneth Branagh movie is one of the greatest films I've ever seen. Certainly when it comes to Shakespearean adaptations, it's fantastic. And you wouldn't have the title of Band of Brothers was it not for Henry V, the play. We feud, we happy feud, we band of brothers. It's a 1989 movie, and I would still watch this over a lot of movies made today.
I agree with you. It was on my short list, but it was oh man, what a very good choice. What you got, Aaron?
Well, and I just wanted to note that I did leave Inglourious Bastards out because I felt it was cheating, because it's all bullshit, Just because it happened then didn't make it really a world war.
There weren't Jew bears?
No, there were no Jew bears. No Jew bears. My number 3 movie is The Patriot. Not Braveheart, The Patriot. I realized I couldn't tell you how accurate it is. I don't care. I thought Mel Gibson was perfectly cast. I believe Heath Ledger was wonderful as his son, and him taking up against the British, I thought was just, the way they did it was pure movie-going magic. And you don't have to make a historical epic seem historical. You know what I mean? It just felt like a good summer movie. And it had heart, it had action. I mean, just everything worked. And Jason Isaacs, I believe is his name, who played the bad guy, fantastic. Just a dick. You know,
It's one of those roles that every time I see him, that is the role that I think of him, Jason Isaacs.
it's just
I always refer back to his role in The Patriot.
my number 2 is Platoon. Not enough people talk about it anymore, but when it came out, that was one of the most emotional roller coasters I can remember taking in a movie. And Charlie Sheen was even great in it. I mean, everybody that was in this movie, Oliver Stone, Vietnam War, you could tell it was really personal to him. It's a really deep moving, a very deep and very painful to watch movie, but not painful in the way Schindler's List is, where I saw it once and I never want to see it again because it's just everything about it is depressing. It's Platoon is more of, I can still watch it. It still entertains me. And every time I watch it, I feel more for those guys. You know what I mean? But I can still watch it and feel like, man, I can't wait to see how this goes through. Just love that movie. My number 1, my favorite war movie of all time is Glory. Unfortunately,
I've never even seen that one.
oh, it's such a great movie.
It's good, but it's got Matthew Broderick. I'm sorry.
Shut up. It's about the Black Regiment in the Civil War. And Denzel Washington, this was his first role, and I believe he won the Oscar for it. Morgan Freeman's in it. Just seeing how they were treated, even though, they're fighting in the same fucking war. And they were treated so much different. They were treated as basically separatists. And how they all came together, even though nothing was going for them, and they were supposed to be fighting for black freedom and the end of everything, and it's hard to put into words exactly how emotional the movie is. I felt it was very emotional. It's really a great movie, and Denzel Washington, fantastic. He deserved the Oscar for that. What war movies do you guys loathe?
The second half of Full Metal Jacket.
I agree with you 100%, man.
Because it's such a disappointment. That first half in the boot camp was so good just the entire time, and then they go over there and it just all kind of goes downhill.
Once Arlie Ermy departs the screen, the movie goes to shit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as soon as the one guy kills himself or whatever, the movie's done.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, it's done.
Yep.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Who did not much after that except Law and Order.
You were a disgusting fat body. Sorry.
That's okay.
Also, another one is a minor movie, but Wind Talkers. Do you remember that one with Mel Gibson?
That was on my list.
Nicolas Cage?
No, that was Mel Gibson, wasn't it?
No, Wind
No, it was
Talkers was
Nicolas
Nicolas
No,
Cage.
that was Nicolas Cage.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah,
Same
you're
guy.
right.
I see how you get him confused.
The only reason I watched that movie was because I signed up for one of those Columbia Media House things back in the 90s, and they shipped that one to me against my will when I didn't ask for it. And I'm like, well, I got it. Might as well watch it. And, oh, man, that was bad.
You lost that battle.
Yeah.
Mine's a thin red line because Terrence Malick, you fucking bore me.
Fuck you.
You like him?
No, that was on my list too.
Oh, you should speak faster.
That's one of those
You were
that
probably
people,
pausing.
That's one that people either love or hate.
Terrence
seems
Malick?
Like. No, that movie, Thin Red Line.
Yeah, it's just not good.
Yeah.
Sorry. So if
No,
somebody
it's
loves it,
horrible.
they're wrong. Sorry.
Still don't know what it's about.
No, Terrence Malick did it, and he doesn't know what it's about. George Clooney's in it. He doesn't know what it's about. Nobody knows what that fucking movie's about. Justin, what?
It looks to me like the best part of you ran down the crack of your mama's ass and ended up as a brown stain on the mattress.
Justin, what? Do you have any that you loathe?
Iron Eagles? I'm just kidding.
Oh my god!
You leave Louis Gossett
I
Jr.
will make a
out
road
of it.
trip and punch you. That's a good fucking movie.
The only good thing about that is that's got F-16s in it. Everything else sucked balls in that film.
And Queen.
Well, all right, Queen, yes.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Any movie is made better with Queen. No, I mean, Scotty already stole mine. Fucking Pearl Harbor. What a piece of shit. And I love Michael Bay. This is coming from a guy who likes Michael Bay, but that film was just some rambling shit.
I bet if it had more lens flare, you'd be all over it.
Maybe, a little lens flare action could have maybe made that film a little better. It certainly had a dearth of Will Smith. It could have used a lot more Will Smith.
Brian, do you have anything else?
The Gray Zone.
Oh,
Steve Buscemi. Who's the Arquette guy that was married to Courtney Cox?
David Arquette.
Yeah, him. It's about Auschwitz and the relationship between some Jews and some German soldiers, and it is. So if you think Schindler's List is depressing, this one will make you commit suicide.
Yeah, I saw it. It's awful.
It is slow. And the end is just depressing
and not nearly soon enough.
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, absolutely horrible. It's not even something that. Yeah, I realize Auschwitz was a horrible place, but that movie could have done a different. Could have gone about showing me that in a whole.
Hell
different
yeah, hell yeah. And here's some of our listeners sending in some of their favorite war movies. Amanda S says The Hurt Locker, just so good, I love The Hurt Locker. It's a great movie. Rob R. Mars Attacks. Apparently he was listening to Scott. Because ack. And Tropic Thunder. D.A. Cheney says, does Band of Brothers count? Absolutely. Band of Brothers does count. Because it's so epic and it's fucking fantastic, honestly. Angela L. says, Grave of the Fireflies. I challenge anyone with a soul to watch that movie and not shed a tear.
You cry.
So I can't watch it. Paula S. says, ooh, this is The Last Samurai is the one that comes to mind first. Don't like
that
war.
Is good.
Don't like war movies very well, but I think this. I like this because there were so many other things going on. It wasn't just about the war. It was very expressive, which might not explain it well, but I felt I could know what was going on even if I muted it. I am not a Cruise fan, but I did think he did very well in this movie. That's a great choice. So.
It's funny how so many people say, I'm not a Cruise fan, but, and then they list 1, 2, 3, 4 movies that they like. The guy, people, you don't have to hate him.
That's true. You don't have to. But some do. Stephen W. says, Black Hawk Down. I remember being speechless leaving the theater after seeing it. It was such a powerful movie, and it being based on a true story really made it that much more powerful. All right, thanks, guys. Now let's close her up and go to emails. Oh, wait, before we go. Next week's topic is going to be monumental. We're going to talk about what films, TV shows, or characters affected your life, as in prompted you to make some kind of change in your life or made you rethink something deeply. So we're going deep. So what movie or characters or whatever impacted your life? Email us if you got something.
Transformers 2.
Top Gun.
Those big dangling metal balls. Yeah. They moved me.
I'm sure we'll have some humorous picks, too. Justin, let's go to emails. You got the first couple.
Sure. Stephen W. first. He sent us a message via Twitter, said, @H_outsider. Loving the podcast. But I think Justin needs to give the other hosts more mic time. I think this is really Stephen's reverse psychology way of getting me to talk even more. No, the other guys need a moment or two to fill in the spaces where I breathe, so I have to let them talk. That's just how it is.
Nicely handled. Yeah.
Thank you. Then we got an email from Dan. Sorry, I had to scroll down for a second. He says, Hi, guys. The movie is Point Break. Love that movie. Flashback. As usual, Justin is spot on. Euro Trip is a great movie. I can't hear someone say, excuse me, without thinking of the trade scene and giggling a little under my breath. Oh, I can't either. I also wanted to say I enjoyed the additional non-movie podcast. I enjoyed hearing you guys pontificate about random stuff outside of the typical movies and TV. I do have one request for a possible topic. How did you four meet and become friends? I've listened now for about 6 months, and you guys are scattered all over the country, but I've never been able to pick up how you all know each other. I've always been curious about your backstories, which often get alluded to, e.g. Aaron's dark past. I don't know if he meant Aaron's dark past. Maybe if he was talking about all the pedophilia, but it's Brian's strange, murky, crime-filled past that's really got me.
No, he means my growing up in the hood. That's what he means.
Oh, is that what he meant by dark? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Wow, I did.
Well, the short answer is we all met on the Maury Povich show, trying to figure out who's the daddy.
It was Aaron.
Aaron.
Dodged a bullet there.
Really explain it. And last but not least, a few months back, you had a segment on creating trilogies from similar movies. I never found time to write in my set, so here it is. The Artsy Kung Fu Trilogy. And I have to say, I have not seen the last one of this one, but the other two I give, of course, high marks. Hero, which is a great Jet Li film. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which I spoke to earlier. And the one that I haven't seen, Harakiri, 2011 version. There are several other movies, similar movies that could fit, but these three top my list. Thanks for the great podcast. Keep them coming.
To answer his question, how we know each other, we don't really need a whole topic for it. I can explain it. I've known Scott forever. Brian, I know through the Xbox.
Well, how did you meet Scott, though?
How did I meet Scott? Just through work. We worked at the same place at one time. And
what was it, Jimmy's Rubber Shack?
No, it's actually where he works now.
It was a sex toy store.
Okay.
Yeah, he won. And we just became friends, even though there's a significant age gap. I'm significantly more mature.
I wouldn't say that.
Oh, hey. Let's not go overboard.
Brian and I met through Gears of War.
Yep. The ties that bond.
I swear to
on
God.
the Xbox.
The first Gears of War, that's how we met, and then we became friends, and then we started talking, and then we finally decided we'll try FaceTime once, and then we became actual friends.
And then the bromance blossomed.
And I met Justin through online forum through Rotten Tomatoes. Became friends through there. And how did we get? Did I introduce him to you?
Because Scott did a video game
podcast.
Scott did a video game podcast for a while until he decided he didn't want to do the work. and
Speaking of taps,
and then
it's coming back. It's coming
of course,
back.
me and Justin we met through this.
So there.
That's right, and we have been, hetero life mates ever since.
2 years now.
Absolutely.
2 years.
Yep.
Bros before hoes. Oh wait, fuck.
These bros are hoes.
There you go. There's your answer. I hope that. And if it's my dark past you're alluding to, I grew up. My mother was very, very poor, and I grew
born
up.
a poor black child.
My grandparents were where I stayed a large part of the time. They lived across the street from the projects. I got into a lot of trouble. If you want it, I'll email you the whole fucking paragraph. But man, it's going to take a while. I don't have enough time for that. Plus, nobody wants to hear that story. See, they're all sleeping. Scott, let's go to your email.
All right.
I did some shit that I can't admit to still. That's all I'm saying.
Statute of limitations isn't out yet?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
We also got an email from Ashley. She says, so the movie this week is Point Break. We love that movie in this house and just recently bought it digitally. Great show again, as always, and I wanted to definitely write to let you know how impressed I am. When the show started and I realized Scotty wasn't in attendance, I was slightly... Unlike Justin, I was slightly bummed. Because I knew he wouldn't be there to answer my question regarding The Great Gatsby. But, to my surprise, not only did you guys record his review in advance, he called in and recorded answers to my question, as well as other fans. Hats off, guys. You're going above and beyond. It has not gone unnoticed, and definitely has not gone unappreciated. Talk to you soon, Ashley. We also will read her Star Trek part during our Spoilercast at the end of this episode. So, Ashley, thanks for writing in. One of my favorite parts about doing this show is the interaction we get with the listeners, so... Keep those tweets and emails coming, and also we haven't got a whole lot of phone messages that at least that
I'm waiting
know
for
of.
a drunk dial. I'm waiting for it.
Somebody please call in and drunk dial us at.
Brian, you get some.
Oh, well, I thought you were wanting me to drunk dial. All right. This is from Wally K. He says this is a one-man answer to the trivia question. Point Break, I believe, is the answer. I don't want my wife taking credit for the answers. LOL. Love the show. Keep up the good work. Thanks, boys. Please don't tell my wife I said that. Sorry, I kind of improvised the last little part after thanks, please.
Just covering your bases.
And also, Tammy tweeted us, and well, actually, I should say she tweeted Justin. So she was laughing her ass off and says, seriously, your take on opinions had me crying.
And that's because she was. She said, "Fuck
Just
off."
because it's an opinion,
Everybody.
don't mean it can't be wrong.
Since she was talking about Brian, it's classic that he read it.
And she hashtagged. She created hashtag I'm a hoe. Are we trending yet?
Yeah, there's actually quite a few of them on there.
Yeah, nice.
And I've got a couple. Mike, a coworker. This is from Sean M. Mike, a coworker, and myself wanted to right answer. The answer is Point Break. Love the reference in the Avengers to Point Break when Tony says it to Thor. Not sure a lot of younger people got that joke. I agree. I think a lot of people did. Keep up the great work, Sean M. Thanks, Sean. And Junebug. I got Junebug this week, Brian.
Ah,
he loves when she sends a message because man, he likes to say Junebug.
Junebug.
She tweeted us, meant to tell you guys, love the After Hours show. Surprise, how episodes are the best. Do Star Wars versus Star Trek next.
Ooh.
Well, Junebug, hang on. We had a topic already and recorded that newest Ho After Hours already. So since we're doing all the Star Trek shit, we can appease you right here. So guys, one has to win. You have to pick one. You can't go, Justin, you can't puss out on this. Who do you choose? Star Wars versus Star Trek? Go. Justin, you go first.
Oh, this ain't even hard. It's Star Wars.
Star Wars. Lightsabers.
Fucking rule over everything.
Hello.
I kind of gotta agree. Yeah, I love Star Trek, but yeah, too much history with Star Wars.
I had to really think about it because if you think about it, Star Trek's been around a lot longer. It's actually been successful a lot of various ways.
A lot more often.
A lot more often. It doesn't have prequels, so. But
it does have Enterprise and it does have Voyager.
Mm-hmm. But
which could be its Jar Jar. But
let's be honest, Star Wars is a shitload more fun. So I guess it's a sweep. Sorry, Trekkies. I hope nobody quit.
It's like Star Wars is like your career and Star Trek is like a hobby.
Whoa.
Star Wars is my wife's. Trek, she's just the mistress.
Okay.
She's just a girl at Starbucks you flirt with.
That said, I love the original Trek series and the original Trek movies. Don't like any of the other ones, but the original shit, love them.
I don't think there's enough Star Trek movies to fill that analogy, Brian.
I love Star Trek. Don't get me wrong, but Star Wars, that's in my heart.
Yep. There's a Chewbacca.
You haven't seen how many trips I make to Starbucks.
All right, you can stay through the credits for outtakes most weeks, not this week because we're going to have a spoiler cast, so stick around for that. TheHollywoodOutsider.com or Twitter, H_outsider. We're on Facebook, Facebook.com/TheHollywoodOutsider. And also on Facebook, we're going to welcome the new likes this week. Edward L., Yuli H., Colin B., James B., and politically incorrectile dysfunction, and Travis H. So thanks, guys, for liking the page. If you like the page next week, we'll mention you on the show. And email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com, or you can message us or drunk dial us or text us at 818-814-6426. Listen and subscribe for free on iTunes. Listen on your Stitcher Radio app or through our RSS feed or RockfordCollegeRadio.com Thursdays from 4 to 6. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Brian Williams.
Woohoo!
Justin McCumber, who will be at Balticon. If you listen to this after that, he was at Balticon.
Aaron!
and Scott Clark.
If you are looking for a teacher, give me a call.
For small children, and I will help him. Now, remember, the next time you go to a theater, buy popcorn. Oh, stick around for the spoiler cast coming right after this. So remember, the next time you go to the theater, buy popcorn.
God, you dumbass.
You're a dumbass.
I got this. Benedict Cumberbatch.
Okay, ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Everybody's ready to do it.
I'm so done.
3, 2, go!
Poor listeners.
Okay, now...
Thank you. We'll be getting the bill for a shit ton of blown speakers.
This is our Star Trek Spoilercast. If you have not seen the movie, or just don't stick around unless you've seen the movie or you don't care about being spoiled. Cumberbatch is the villain. As the villain he turned out to be, your last chance, turn your shit off. He was fucking Khan.
Just like we all thought.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much that's not a big surprise. Was anyone surprised by this?
No, but on Facebook, I loved hearing these people try and be all snarky, like, yeah, he's Khan. I figured that out pretty quickly. I'm like, fuckhead, so did most of the internet. So let's not act like you're Sherlock Holmes all of a sudden.
Well, when they said a pretty well-known villain, what other really well-known villains?
Yeah, I only know races. Romulans and Klingons.
Right.
That's it. I'm like,
oh, Klingons? We need to get to that later, too.
The one thing I will say, and I couldn't say this because obviously it'll allude to a spoiler, but when it comes to Khan, Cumberbatch was great, but the one thing he didn't have was that slick fucking charm that Montalban had.
Yeah.
Like, watching Wrath of Khan again, the way he chews his words sometimes, and he pauses to let... I mean, it was just like the perfect opposite Kirk.
But that could come with age. You know what I mean?
He got slow and more Indian as he got older?
Well...
It happens.
That was funny. All right. Now, do you guys think this was people on the internet are going apeshit over the fact that their Star Trek is now more Star Wars? Who thinks that this is a little too Star Warsy and not enough Trek? Now, Justin, you're the biggest fan, so you can go first because you know more about the whole lore than I do.
Well, I mean, I loved that this had... It was almost in a middle ground between Trek and Star Wars. The earlier part of the film was a lot more Trek, but for me, the second half was getting more Star Wars in its action and its pacing, but especially when you get to the end of it and Spock is chasing Khan through San Francisco. And really, when they jumped on that flying barge thing, whatever it was, that could have been Coruscant that they were on. It felt so Star Wars in that moment. I expected someone to whip out a lightsaber at some point. But I don't think it was too Star Warsy. I think Star Trek had gotten stodgy, and it needed a little Star Wars. So I thought it was fine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Granted, you're talking to a bunch of guys that just said that they prefer Star Wars over Star Trek. So
that's a good point, Scott. That is a good point,
Scotty.
But I will say, watching the old ones, I thought that when I watched them originally. It wasn't just because I like Star Wars. It's just they weren't fast enough. And this generation is all about quick, quick, quick. And he made a fun Star Trek movie. Mm-hmm. They still kept most of the tropes of Star Trek. You know, it still had the Vulcan death grip. It still had the mind meld. It still had the fucking whatever. The
Tribbles.
The Tribbles. They had Tribbles. Why the fuck is Tribbles in there?
That was awesome.
It had a lot. And watching Wrath of Khan, I'm convinced, because I just rewatched it, like I said, I'm convinced that that's the only Star Trek movie that J.J. Abrams has ever seen. Because both of these two movies reference the shit out of Wrath of Khan. Mm-hmm. Both of them.
They kind of have to. I mean, so many people assumed even before a lot of information came out that this one was going to be Wrath of Khan because it was the second film and Wrath of Khan was the second film. So many people figure, well, you know, it just kind of has to follow that it's going to be a Wrath of Khan type of movie, not counting the fact that, well, Wrath of Khan took place how many, you know, couple of decades after the 5-year mission was over, whereas this one's before that mission. Mm-hmm. But they explain it away exactly how Khan has been found already, as opposed to the Starseed episode of the original series. They explain everything almost to my total and complete satisfaction as to how Khan could be a part of this movie without it seeming too winky at the audience. But what really I loved were all the ways that it mirrored it, and by mirroring I mean opposing things. You know, we all did the Khan. Well, who did the Khan? Mm-hmm. It was Spock this time, and I thought that was fantastic. Who died in the engine room? Kirk did. I thought that was great. I loved all those twists that they made on that film, because what it really showed to me is that these two guys are destined to be the friends that you know they're eventually going to be, and that no matter how time might change, they are going to have certain moments of their relationship that are going to have these pivotal elements to them, and no matter what, that's going to happen, and it happened, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I did too, and I'll be perfectly honest, I cried at that death scene. I don't care how ashamed I am, because I am ashamed. I cried during the fucking Star Trek movie. Mm-hmm. When Kirk was dying, and they were doing their little send-off, and hey, you're my best buddy, and high five, and you know, stand by me, and loved it. Mm-hmm. Absolutely loved it. Cried like a girl. My wife's laughing at me. I don't care.
And she should have.
And she should have.
And I like that they didn't wait to bring him back to the next movie, like they did with the original.
Like they did in Wrath. Yeah,
you know?
But some people all over the interwebs are bitching up a storm, saying that was a total ripoff of Wrath of Khan. And I agree, it is the same fucking scene, just reversed. But I kind of am actually agreeing with Justin for once. I think it was more of showcasing that, look, these things have changed. Even though, you know, there's this ripple in time and it's basically an alternate reality, this still would happen no matter what.
It's like the butterfly effect.
Yeah, kind of. Mm-hmm. Anybody disagree? What about you, Brian? Did you think it was a ripoff?
It's been so long since I've watched the Wrath of Khan that while there were a few things that I did pick up on that were like, wait a minute, this is oddly familiar. Mm-hmm. You know, it didn't bother me. So I didn't look at it that deep. I mean, like I said, you just watched it. Honestly, it's probably been 15 years at least since I've watched Wrath of Khan. So my, I guess, memory of the details and to actually compare the two is not very strong. So for me, I was just watching Cumberbatch as a villain. And I was just seeing him. It was just more about him in the role, and not really, honestly, Khan. Just the fact of him being Khan was way back just really wasn't even much of a thought, to be honest with you.
Now, with what Justin was just saying about the different constants and changes and that kind of thing in the stories, did you guys ever for a minute think that maybe he wasn't going to be a bad guy, that was going to be a change, or did you think that
I actually did for a little bit. I knew he was Khan the whole time, just because I just thought it was... As soon as they introduced, or he started talking about how he was there, I'm like, oh, he's fucking Khan. I got it, And yes, for a while, especially when they introduced the Marcus storyline, I thought, okay, so Admiral Marcus is actually going to end up being the bad guy. Maybe they're actually tweaking it, because that would have been really clever to me. But no, they ended up going kind of the direction I originally thought. I didn't care because I was invested in the movie. But I had more issues, not with him ripping off Wrath of Khan, but the fact that Kirk dies and Bones, of course, figures it out, because of course he would think to test triples with the fucking blood serum. That's just convenient, lazy writing, but it worked out in this film. The fact that he's like, gotta get Khan's blood. There's 72 fucking samples in the basement.
Yeah.
Walk down and grab one. Instead, let's send Spock up against Superman. Let's make that happen instead. That I had more issue with than I did the whole ripoff of Khan, or homage, whatever you want to call it.
Well, remember though, Spock went after Khan not to get the blood. He went after Khan to get Khan. It was only in mid-chase that Bones said, "Oh, don't kill him." So he was already going after him. But yeah, I mean, you've got 72 other blood donors, thawing out. So let's you don't have to get just Khan.
And it's pretty fucking convenient, especially since we got to hurry up and preserve him for his brain activity. But we can wait a little bit longer. I mean, let's see how this fight pans out.
I think that's probably one of the few, for me, what I saw as a plot hole, and one of the few.
Well, okay. That brings me to my big one. And this is why I got a 9 and not a perfect 10 for me, and I alluded to it in the review. For me, this is like making sweet love to a gorgeous woman, right? You're having the time of your life.
What's that like?
Well,
and then you put your hand up her skirt and she's got some junk?
No, not that bad. But right in the middle of that sweet, sweet love, she screams, "Kidding!" gets up and walks away. Then after a minute, calms down, comes back, and you guys finish out. That's what this was when Leonard Nimoy popped up to me. I thought it totally stopped the brakes on all the fun I was having. I actually stopped in my seat and said, "What the fuck?" Because to me, that was the laziest writing I've seen in a long time. Thankfully, it was only a minute. I thought it was a total slap in the face to the new crew, because you know what? Nimoy, he did his part. He played it out in the last movie. There was zero reason to have him there other than cheap exposition. And I thought, God, it was such a slap to me.
I almost got the feeling that there was like something in his contract that said, if you come in this one, you'll be able to make a cameo in the second one.
Maybe. I mean, did anybody else feel this way?
I mean, he's looking really, really old, and it's probably just one way of getting him one last effort. Like, shit, it was 4 years between 1 and 2. God knows how long it's going to be between 2 and 3. He might not even be around. Here, we'll just get him in here just one last time. This may be the last thing he ever does. I say that in half fun, but there is a little bit of seriousness there.
I get that, but he passed the torch in the last movie. He had
I
zero
agree
purpose.
with you. It was distracting. It took me out of the moment too.
Yeah.
Especially his whole conversation was, I can't really tell you about the future. I've made this vow or whatever that I'm not going to, but I'll tell you this.
He was our most admirable foe.
Well, in defense of that scene,
you can try.
I will say that, for one thing, Khan killed him. And that's a big thing. Khan killed Nimoy. Not personally hand to hand, but through Khan's actions, Nimoy died.
Cool.
And he might not have come back had it not been for the Genesis device. To have the young Spock reach out to the old one and ask him, did you ever, what was his wording on that? Did you ever come into contact with, or something to the effect of Khan? The look on Nimoy's face, to me, was almost worth that scene, because he remembers.
I think you are trying really hard on this one.
No, I don't have to fucking try hard to do anything. When
reaching.
He said he was our toughest opponent ever, to me, on his face, you can see the truth of that. And you can know, also we know the truth of it because the motherfucker killed him.
Laziest
he died as a response
writing
to that. And so
I've
for
seen
me,
in a long time.
I don't think that the scene was necessary, but I don't think it was a slap in the face. I think you're being a little hyperbolic.
I Absolutely slap in the face. I think it's like this crew can't stand on their own without Nimoy popping in.
Yeah, I really think you're reaching, but you probably think I'm reaching too. So
Absolutely.
We'll just reach around each other and
tug a little to the right.
See what happens.
On that note, I'm out. Peace.
Hey, one other thing I wanted to
You're
notice.
the pivot man, dude.
One other thing I wanted to mention, and this isn't even like a spoiler thing, but how awesome is that score? Like, it's obviously a lot of the same stuff from the first one, the same theme. But
great score. Yeah,
I kind of wish a little bit that there was a little bit more of the original theme from like the TV show and the movies and stuff. They only do it in like the credits.
They do it very, very slow. I did like that Kirk did the Boldly Go where no one has gone before this time, and Spock did it last time. Maybe Bones will do it next time, but
right.
No, and the score was beautiful. It was
Michael
very
Giacchino
well done.
knocks it out of the park once again with the music.
Just so epic. Just
very well done.
But I'll tell you the one thing that really shocked me was when they said Kronos. I had no idea that Klingons were in this movie. And maybe that's just because I really tried hard to avoid spoilers. I had no idea.
I had no idea.
I loved that the Klingons showed up. I loved that they went to the Klingon homeworld. Such a great surprise, and I'm so glad it happened. And the new Klingons look fucking badass.
They did. They look better than anything in the past, that's for sure.
And how badass was Cumberbatch's Khan in that scene, just kicking ass with that big laser blaster or whatever?
He was a great... I was actually disappointed when he got on the ship because, I'm like, man, let him fuck some more people up because he was doing such a great job.
He just...
And Ashley's email, we didn't mention her PS was, saw Star Trek and thought it was magnificent. However, can you guys please weigh in on Admiral Marcus, Peter Weller's acting? I feel like someone on that set should have been like, what the fuck? We need to recast immediately. Also, the only other criticisms because I thoroughly enjoyed it, would be that it seemed that they did what they do so well with the action scenes, magnificent. But when it came to the emotion, I just didn't care. Thoughts. I cried, Ashley. I fucking cried. That's what I would say. Yeah, because I thought the emotion was great.
I actually agree with her. So I'm sorry that the whole Captain Kirk dying thing was it was unnecessary. He's not going to die.
Yeah, I agree with
There's
that.
been so many movies with Captain Kirk that he's going to make it. So why even try to create the emotion with that scene? I don't the whole, well, okay, Spock saves Kirk and now Kirk saves Spock later. They both revive each other and that gives them a ever loving bond for the rest of their lives. It doesn't hold water with me.
You need some better friends, Brian.
I think that's a lot more for
I've got you fucking clowns. I don't need better friends.
I think a lot of that is for newer fans of Star Trek. Those that didn't grow up with the series don't know how important...
If you're watching Star Trek too, you do know who Captain Kirk is.
Well, he's going to live.
There's a reason why Priceline commercials are as popular as hell.
I see what Scott's saying, but there was no chance. I knew for a fact he was never going to die, but it was the friendship that worked for me.
Right.
So I totally bought into the emotion. I know Justin bought into the emotion too. So
what do you guys? Yeah, but if you're going to say that, well, I didn't buy the dramatic tension because I knew that the star of the movie wasn't really going to die. You could level that at just about every movie ever made in which the lead character's life is put into jeopardy. Well, I didn't really believe that because, they're the first name over the poster, so of course they're not going to die.
No, it's not about being the first name over the poster. It's about being Captain fucking Kirk.
Well, yeah, but that scene really wasn't so much about, for me anyway, it wasn't so much about Kirk's death, but Spock's reaction to it.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Spock had to have a catalyzing event.
I still think you could have had the same reaction doing something else,
Yeah, but would that have served their relationship? And that's what's really the core of this, is developing Kirk and Spock's relationship.
Which I think I personally bought into wholeheartedly. So I was very moved. Brian was not.
I think you could have bonded them in a other way, but
strip
again,
club.
It just didn't. To me, it was just going, shit. All right, how long is he going to sit here and roll his eyes and slump down the front of this fucking door?
God, you heartless bastard.
No, I've made it well known. I cry at a whole lot. I will cry at TV commercials, but
if a dog dies,
this one here,
if a dog dies,
it was one. Probably the one thing that took me out of the moment as much as Leonard Nimoy was the fact that it just, okay, let's not kid ourselves. You're going to miraculously recover, or or they're going to, of course, I would keep flashing back to the Trembles, whatever they're called in
Tribbles,
blood stuff, whatever. So I was like, all right, let's get to it and go on from there. But I was pleasantly surprised that, that wasn't it. It was like another 15, 20 minutes after that,
yeah.
The movie ended. I was like, all right, well,
I will.
There's more to it than just this. So that was a pleasant surprise.
I will say this in closing. Spock has done more emotion in these two movies than he did in the entire series and all of the 6 movies before that.
I was going to ask you guys about that because we know that character from the series and that kind of thing, and that the lack of emotion is such a big part. Do you think they did that in the first movie too, where they built it. He
lost his temper.
Yeah,
they're changing the dynamic of that character.
And I know we can always fall back on the there's constants and changes, that kind of thing. But I feel like that with people that aren't as familiar with Star Trek, that doesn't have as much of a clout when he actually does break down by doing the first and second movies, whereas they could have waited to the third or fourth for that. What do you think?
I think it's a totally different take on the character, honestly, because it's not the same character, and he was doing it as a kid, so you can't just bring in the different factors of how it panned out in the last movie. They're completely changing Spock because Spock, the way Nimoy played him, he wasn't pronounced with it. He had emotional depth, but he kept it very under wraps. I mean, you go back and watch any of the old movies. Nimoy was great with that character because he always had heart without showing a lot of heart. You know what I mean? And I think Quinto kind of wears it on his sleeve a little bit. I think he did better in this movie, like I said before, than he did in the last movie. But he just plays it different. He just plays it completely different. Would you agree, Justin, Brian?
It's so hard to replace or mimic Nimoy's icy Spock. I thought Quinto really did a good job with keeping it a little closer to the vest, emotional-wise, for the ending of it. Really, the only other part of the movie where he showed some emotion, and it really wasn't even much then, was the scene with Kirk, Spock, and Uhura in that shuttle as they were heading down to Kronos, and Uhura wanted to talk about how she felt about Spock willingly giving up his life and her emotions. And it was a really funny scene, but it was a touching scene too. And even then he didn't give a lot of emotion. It really wasn't until the end that I felt like he broke out of the Vulcan iciness.
That's fair enough. There's a lot more than any of the other movies. Put it that way. That's my take.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There is more in these two, but I don't know. Maybe it's just people aren't going to be as interested in a colder kind of character like that.
I could see that.
I don't know.
And let's wrap it up. But you guys looking forward to part 3? If there's a part 3,
Absolutely.
Did it live up to your expectations? Because Scott, this was your most planned, exciting for movie of the summer.
So yes, it was.
Yeah.
I wanted it perfect, but yeah, I couldn't have asked for much better.
Justin?
Because J.J. Abrams won't be doing it, I'm a little less interested unless they get someone of just really outstanding quality to handle the next one. But I will tell you, when I watched this film, I kept thinking towards the end of it, oh my God, I can't wait to see episode 7. I can't wait to see episode 7. What is he going to do with Star Wars? Oh my God!
Mm-hmm. I think he'll definitely take care of it. I'm not worried about Star Wars.
There's lightsabers in there. It's going to be lens flares popping off.
Exactly. It's going to send crowds into epileptic fits.
Brian, any closing thoughts?
I mean, I really enjoyed it. I don't think it was. I enjoyed it quite as much as everybody else. But that is just nitpicky, relatively speaking. I mean, like I said, I gave it an 8 or 8.5. I mean, it was a hell of a ride. It was very fun. I love the probably the supporting characters more than the actual Captain Kirk and it's hard to say I love them more than Cumberbatch, but because I am a Cumberbitch.
Yes, you are. All right, guys. Well, let's wrap this up. This is our Star Trek Spoilercast and Hollywood Outsider. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode and our HO After Hours on Memorial Day, so check that out. Next time you go to the theater, buy popcorn.